Welcome to the Granblue Fantasy vs. Rising Counterplay Archive, a series of videos where I will cover every single character in the game, each in a separate video, and go over how to deal with certain moves and common or even niche situations that a player may encounter while playing Rising. I am a firm believer that being able to understand every character in the game like they're your own is one of the biggest contributors to improvement, and not just Rising, but in fighting games in general. So hopefully this series can help players gain that understanding and, eventually see improvement in their own gameplay. This time we're going to be covering the most recent character added to the cast, Wilnas. It's really only been 2 weeks since he released, not even. And a lot of people are having trouble dealing with this character. I was already planning on making a video on him pretty early, but with all that going around, it was probably better to make it sooner than later. Obviously, this character is pretty fresh, so there may be some stuff that comes out later that I will not be able to cover in this video. But for starters, I feel like I was able to cover some of the more important stuff that is good to know when dealing with this character. So yeah, with that being said, let's get right into the video. Starting with his normals, just wanted to cover real quick that first of all, Wilnas is an interesting character in the fact that he does not have an auto combo. So he just has close and far normals, but to make up for this, like, all his normals are plus, so I'm gonna just cover them really quick. His close L is +4. Basically he's able to frame trap into like everything, so this is like, you probably don't want to mash on this. Same for his close M. His close M is 1 frame better than his close L, and it's 8 frame startup. So again, he can frame trap into like everything. It's probably not a good idea to mash on this. This, however, his close H is also +3, but it's not going to frame trap into itself. It moves him a little bit too far, but he can frame trap into faster moves like his far L from this distance, his 2M, stuff like that. So honestly, nothing too crazy. He's just kind of plus if he's in your face and he's pressing a normal like that, so do keep that in mind. Next, we're going to move into his 5U, which is an overhead that leads into a full combo. Very cool. So this move is, it isn't the fastest, but 26 frame startup. So it is 2 frames faster than Raging Strike. So take it as you will. If it's, reactable for you, then great. If not, then, learn to react. But yeah, this move is an overhead. That, as you can see, it is -4. So with it being -4, it means it is throw punishable. So I just set the computer to do this on block, and I'm able to get a punish, no escape, as you see right there. So if you block it like this, then you can throw it. But just because it's -4 doesn't mean it can always be punished. If it's spaced well enough, then you're out of throw range. So yeah, this is safe on block under the right spacing, so do keep this in mind. However, it is still your turn regardless. I'm pretty sure this is always -4. So yeah, just keep it in mind. You can punish this move, but know the spacing for which you can throw punish it, and act accordingly. This move will also come up later as we cover his specials as well, because this startup looks kind of similar to this, just a little bit. And this right here is a low, so there's a lot of funky stuff he can do with this, and a couple of mind games he can play. But yeah, like I said, we'll cover that a little bit later. For now, let's finish off his normals. Wilnas is also unique in the fact that he doesn't have your typical 6XL. For example, every character except for 2B has a 6XL forward advancing plus unblock move. So good they put it on a t-shirt. But Wilnas, however, does not have this. Instead, he has this, which is definitely not forward. I guess it is forward advancing, but like it's not your plus on block move that does everything for you. Instead, he kind of has what I'd say is pretty similar to a Strive 6P, where he has head invulnerability and he kind of just kills projectiles. So for example, that projectile just died. So yeah, this move kind of kills all projectiles. Not all projectiles. Some of the few exceptions I was able to find, obviously there might be more, I just didn't look too deep into it, is Zoe Dragons, besides her L Dragon, and Matera ult Fireballs. So yeah, this move is a pretty good, like, I wouldn't say deterrent, but it is a good way to deal with Fireballs for him. But depending on where it's used, it can leave him at a pretty notable disadvantage. So for example, to do that, and he tries to swipe away the projectiles, he's minus 14, so you can probably take your turn back, or not even take your turn back, you can probably gain a lot of space if you're right here and he tries to delete your projectile with that move. So if they do opt on using this move a lot, do keep that in mind, that it isn't like he does this and then he you know, he can just do this for free and there's no like repercussions. So yeah, keep that in mind if they like to use this move a lot. 6XM is a forward advancing move that is safe on block for the most part. Space at the very least. If he's point blank, it leaves him close enough to get thrown, and it's also -4, which means it is a true punish on if it's poorly spaced, that is. So for example, so I can do this, and I'm able to grab and get a no escape punish right there. So yeah, if your opponent does misspace this move, you can get yourself a throw punish, which is good to know. Last dash normal we're going to be talking about is his 6XH. 6XH is pretty slow, all things considered, but it is +5 on block. Although it looks like one, this is not an overhead. So I just set this to crouching. You can see that you can still block it. So yeah, this is not an overhead. It is a mid, and it is +5 on block, but of course it is pretty slow. So I'm of course going to cover this in a little bit more detail later on, but if your opponent does like doing this a lot, like I said, this move is pretty slow, so you can interrupt it if you can react. So for example, kind of just poke him out of this. Even if you're a little bit further, so you come out and then you just kind of press out of this. If you do not want to guess with a normal and if you have a meterless reversal, then this is a really solid option as well. But yeah, I'd say if you can react to this, then do keep in mind that it is not fast, and you can just kind of poke him out of it. And like I said, DP is also a really good option if you have one. You can always spot dodge it too. I'm gonna be covering more options with like stuff with this later, but as you can see, you're not in the greatest position. Even there, it's like kind of like on reaction to startup. Like +2, not good enough to get any type of punish. So if you can recognize it and like poke him out or DP out, if you have one, then yeah, there's probably a lot more reward to be had there instead of spot dodging. So yeah, keep that in mind. One thing to keep in note is that unlike other characters as well, he can cancel all his normals into a dash normal. So for example, do this into his 6XL, this into his 6XM, or this into his 6XH. So do keep this in mind, because you might see a little bit of this, especially in terms of the 6XH, because it is a plus on block move, and yeah, it helps him retake his turn. Next, we're going to be moving into his specials, starting off with 236 series, or his punch, as is more easily recognizable by. This move is interesting, as all versions actually leave him -9 on block. That was the L version, M version, H version, and the U version, -9. But these are, like I said, they're interesting in the fact that they have him spaced enough to where most characters cannot punish. So you see right there, -9, but this move isn't reaching. Neither is this. So, yeah. Obviously, there are some characters that can punish this due to having forward advancing normals or just longer normals in general. I'm going to leave a list on the screen going over which characters can punish which versions of Wilnas' punch and with certain moves. There are some characters that can only punish the L version, and there are some characters that can punish both the L and the M/H version. I put M/H because they both have the exact same pushback. And there are some characters that can't punish either, which is, yeah, it's kind of rough because it is extremely hard to punish if you don't have a normal that reaches this far. One option to punish this move is well, universally at least, is a frame perfect 6XL, which is pretty hard to do consistently, considering it is frame perfect, but it is indeed an option. So if you're one of the characters that you know, you can't punish this regardless, then you can practice. You can try to practice a frame perfect 6XL. Obviously, like I said, it is probably going to be extremely hard, but that is indeed an option. Now let's talk about punishing the L and the M/H versions. However, the U version has the smallest amount of pushback, so or it doesn't even have any pushback. So this means that most characters can get a punish off of him. Even if it is pretty far, he just kind of lunges and stays. So, like for example, Grand RM reaches from right there. Most characters should have a way to punish this. Of course, figure out if you are some of the characters that do not have an option to punish this normally, then figure out what works best for you. If you are a character that can punish another move or another version of his move, then probably do one of those. That's probably your safest option. There might be more rewarding options because he is closer, but like I said, figure out what works best for your character. But of course, being able to reliably punish those moves is under the condition that he spaced it not very well. So for example, if he were to do this point blank, then Grand can punish right there. Obviously, I don't have the recording on, but he can reach far enough with his far M to punish in that situation. But let's say, for example, he isn't point blank, and he's this far, and this is nowhere near reaching. What do you do then? Because this space is a really, really hard move to deal with, regardless of what character you play, because this is unpunishable for the entire cast. So yeah, it doesn't matter what you have to deal with this move if he's not in range to punish it. So yeah, that being said, what do you do? So first off, this move has a decent amount of whiff recovery. So if your opponent is just using this move because why not? You know, big damage, a lot of chip, unpunishable, on block as long as it's spaced properly. Then you can do a preemptive jump, actually. Of course, this is a read, and if you're wrong, you could get hit out of it, but sometimes you need to take risks. So, for example, if you have a read, you just jump over it. Obviously, I didn't punish right there, but it has a pretty decent amount of whiff recovery. So, if you land on top of him, then you can get yourself a full punish. But of course, like I said, if you're late or you hesitate a little bit, you might get hit out of this. This is indeed air unblockable. What's good about this is that he can't get a full combo off of this. So the risk isn't nearly as big as you might think. Of course, it still does a lot of damage regardless. But yeah, When comparing the L and the M versions too, since the M version is safer because it does more pushback, the L version having 46 total active frames, or not active frames, just 46 total frames before he recovers, and the M version having 53. So he's a lot more punishable if they like doing this move instead. So yeah, right there I landed and I'm still +7. So yeah, like I said, if they do like using this move a lot, then jumping could be a really good option to discourage them, as long as you're in, you know, as long as you're in a decent position to do so. Again, this option isn't 100% success rate. It does come with risks, but like I said, figure out what your opponent likes to do and then act accordingly. You can also, if you don't like to jump, then you can also do a preemptive spot dodge as well. Obviously, again, this is a read, but this does leave you in a pretty decent position. Even there, it was +7. +8 right there. So spot dodge does cover a decent amount of options that he can do. I'm gonna cover, of course, more later when I cover more of the specials. But if you just want to preempt this spot dodge one of these, you if you're early, of course, you might be able to get a pretty big punish. So yeah. Next, let's talk about his 214 or his knee. This knee is kind of scary, mainly because of how fast it is, especially his EX version. But yeah, his L version goes about half screen, his M version goes about 4/5 of the screen, and then his EX version travels the entire screen at half a second. So this is pretty fast, and yeah, as you can also see, the H version is +1 block, the L version and the M version are also minus. Actually, everything is minus except the H version. The U version is also minus, but it has insane pushback. So he's extremely safe on doing this. But yeah, +1 block move, you're probably going to be seeing a lot of the H version if you haven't already, because this character is has been everywhere for the past week since he's been out. So what do you do about this move? It's extremely hard to react to, like I said, and it's a pretty good option for him covering space, and you get hit wrong, you die. So yeah, what do you do? So one thing in particular, if you're not worrying about the H version to start off, is you can actually spot dodge. So this is what I was talking about earlier with, you know, preemptive spot dodging on other stuff, because a lot of stuff for Wilnas can just be beat out with spot dodge. His kick, for example, not being the H version like I mentioned, is one of them. So if you see this, you spot dodge, you're pretty plus, as you can see right here. +11 is good enough for most characters to get a close H punish, but as always, the frame data will change depending on how early you spot dodge. You see I spot dodged pretty late, and I was still +7 right there. So yeah, worst case scenario, throw punish is pretty good. This also works for his M version as well. So you can see right there, still +5. That was an extremely late spot dodge. He might not be in throw range, but of course, if he is, then you get a throw, or if you're early enough, you can get a bigger punish. However, like I was mentioning, if you spot dodge the H version, you're kind of late. He's plus in this position. Of course, that was a pretty late spot dodge. Well, let's say I even preemptive spot dodge, only +6 in a situation where before you'd be like +12, +3 right there, unpunishable. This is because he has a lot less recovery on whiffing this move in comparison to the other knees. So this move, you're not really going to get away with spot dodging this for the most part. And like you saw, if you spot dodge too late, it can even still be his turn. So what do you do about this? One thing you can do, if you have a meterless reversal, I'm going to keep saying this because a meterless reversal is really good in this matchup, you can DP. So especially at this range, if you see him flash yellow from full screen, You're probably not going to be seeing a lot of other options because there's nothing else that reaches full screen for him that is an EX scale. Then you can DP this on reaction. So yeah, this is a really good option if you have a meterless reversal. It's also a really good option for the other versions of his skill as well. If you have a meterless reversal, if you don't want to gamble with spot dodge and be late, or you're not trying to look out for which knee, you just see a knee and you DP because this just invalidates it completely. So yeah, got a meterless reversal. Definitely this is your safe go-to option. However, what if you don't have a meterless reversal? Because not every character does. So one thing that is very interesting about this move is that he can actually be grabbed out of this move every version. So this is extremely risky though, because you can just eat this if you're a little bit late, but as you can see, you can throw him out of this move. So yeah, this is a lot easier, of course, the further away he is, because this is extremely fast when he is close. So you're probably going to be, it's probably going to be more of a guess. So as you see, it took 20 frames for him to get from round start to in front of my face. It's not easy to do this on reaction, and especially at this range. You can probably you can expect the other moves as well, because they both reach pretty far. So it's not the only thing you're gonna see from this distance. So yeah, I wouldn't recommend trying to do it from this close, because it's gonna be extremely hard, and if you're wrong, you're gonna you're gonna eat it. So yeah, I definitely say this is a solid option if you are if he is pretty far, but of course it is not without its risk. But if you can grab this, or are confident in your ability to react and grab, then by all means. But of course, if you do have a meterless reversal, or just any reversal in general, if you do have meter, I'm just saying meterless reversal because you have this option available to you at all times, then yes, then do DP, because it is safe. Very, very safe in terms of which options to do to counter this move. I didn't really go into depth about the U version, but we'll go over it pretty briefly because I think it's pretty simple, because all the other things still apply. It's just that this one, like I did mention, is minus, but it is pretty fast. 13 frames if you're not including the ultimate skill blue screen flash, which is a pretty big giveaway. But yeah, like before, you can spot dodge it. It's kind of like the H version, as it is hard to get a decent punish on this move. As you see, I spot dodged at a decent time and I was +4, but it isn't anything like the L and the M version where you spot dodge and you're like +7 at like worst. So yeah, of course, if you have a reversal, just DP. Saves you a lot of trouble. If he's far enough away, again, you can also grab it, but with the ultimate skill slowdown, you might have to grab a little bit earlier than you'd expect, because if you do it too late, then as you see, he eats it and you go from one corner to the next. So yeah, just keep that in mind. Next is his 2-2 series, or his swipe. These are forward advancing low moves with varying frame data, and yeah, they're a pretty decent part of his toolkit, especially combining this, like I mentioned earlier at the beginning, with this overhead. As if you look at this overhead and this low, the animation startup is pretty similar. He kind of raises his arm up. Obviously it looks a little different, but the action of him raising his arm up is enough to trip people out in a game situation. So yeah, let's get right into his swipe. So to start off, his L version is pretty fast, 20 frames. This move leaves him -2. but it can be spaced to be less minus, even. So from like right there, if he spaces it far enough, then he can be 0 on block. Obviously, this isn't too great for him. Well, it's better than being -2, obviously, but this doesn't matter too much for him unless he's fighting another character with a 7-frame normal or a 6-frame normal. His 2L is 6 frames, his fastest button is 6 frames. Yeah. However, it is good to keep in mind that he can space this, and you know, frame data changes, so nothing like, not like it's too crazy in terms of this move, but it may change what options you may do out of blocking this move depending on where it is hit, so do keep that in mind. Next is his M swipe, which is probably the most problematic out of all of them. This one has pretty slow startup. As you can see, it is 31 frame startup. This of course is also a low, but it is +2 on block, thanks to its slower startup, and it also acts the same as the other version, the L version. This will apply to all versions of his swipe, that the further away he hits it, the more plus he is. So you see he is +4 from right there, +3 from right here, but if it's point blank, he is +2. But yeah, again, distance matters a little bit in terms of frame data. So what happens if you block this move? He's +2, right? So, you know, it's his turn, is what you would think. But him, with his fastest normal being a 6-framer in his 2L, actually has very limited options out of his plus on block move, especially considering that we have grab in this game, which, if you're not aware, grab is 4 frames. It is the move with the fastest startup in the game. So you do a little bit of math. He's +2, and his fastest normal is 6 frames, and we are pressing throw, which is 4 frames. These will come out on the exact same frame. And in this game, if a throw and a move come out on the exact same frame, the throw wins, especially when you're right next to somebody, and it will result in a no escape. So he can't do basically anything out of this besides a reversal or a throw of his own. So it is safe, very, very safe to say that if you block this move and you are point blank, then you can just throw him and there is nothing he can do about it. So for example, I just set the computer to do 22M into 2L, and let's see what happens if I throw him. He gets no escaped. So yeah, he, despite being plus, can't do anything about this situation. So yeah, if you do happen to block this move and he is right in front of your face, then don't be afraid to throw him, because you win if he presses anything and tries to take his turn, because it isn't his turn despite him being plus, just thanks to how this game works with throws. Of course, do keep in mind that this will not always work, especially if he's spaced, like I mentioned before. If he's spaced, then he's a little bit too far to be thrown, and the frame data changes. So yeah, regardless, you wouldn't be in range to throw anyways, but you are certainly not, it is certainly not your turn now. But like I said, distance does play a pretty big factor into your options out of this move. If you are point blank, then throw is a really, really good option. If not, then it is pretty safe to say that it is his turn, despite him having pretty slow normals. The H version is a combo starter. It's, of course, it's pretty fast. Like the L version, well, yeah, like the L version is pretty fast, but it is 1 frame faster. It doesn't make too big of a difference, but yeah. As you see, though, he is -4 on block. If you remember the number -4 from earlier in this video a couple times, this is throw punishable. But of course, like I mentioned before, depending on spacing, he can be less minus right there. At best, he can be -2, -3 at some point. But yeah, well, like I said, this move is throw punishable. So for example, he does that, I throw him. It's a true punish. So yeah, if they are poorly spacing this move and he ends up right in front of your face, throw is your go-to response to punish this move. Now moving on to his U version of the swipe. The U version is extremely fast, if you're not including, of course, the blue skill slowdown. It is 14 frames, but it also leaves him -6, so you won't see this move a lot. But if he does do this move, then you can punish him for this. Most characters, of course, do have a 6-framer. So actually all characters have a 6-framer, I think. But yeah, so you should be able to get a decent punish. It also, in terms of spacing, always leaves him like right in front of your face. So it's like, it's pretty consistent. Or you should be able to get a pretty consistent punish with a normal, like worst case scenario, you have a 6-frame 2L. If you're close enough, you have a you know, you have your close light, and some characters have a 6-frame close M, so that also works. So yeah, figure out what works for you. Again, spacing and his swipes, he spaces it enough right here to be -5, which is unpunishable for everybody except for Belial. So if you're Belial, then yeah, you can kill him for this. But of course, if not, then he's safe on this, but you probably won't be seeing this move a lot in that sense. He can be as good as -4 again, but he is space, so you can't really do too much about this. But it is your turn. However, one spot where you might see this move, you know, I did mention like spot dodging is a decent option for the other options that he has, but what if you spot dodge this move? So see, if I spot dodge this move, he is +7, which is definitely not good for you, but is very good for him. So this move, the only time you might really see it is it's used to bait spot dodge, and like you saw, if you spot dodge this move, then he can punish you for it. Even if you spot dodge pretty early, he is still plus, so it is still his turn if you spot dodge the move regardless. So yeah, it's good to know that this move can be used as a spot dodge bait. I'll be going over you know, ultimate skill mind games towards the end, because he does have this. But yeah, it's good to know that he does have this option. So now moving on into the situational portion of the video. One thing that is pretty big with this character, like I mentioned, is his high with his 5U and his low. If you didn't know already, his low and his high actually lead into a full combo. So if you get hit by one of these, you're going to be hurting, because he does a lot of damage on from anywhere on the screen. So what do you do about this? Because like I mentioned before, these look pretty similar in animation. Obviously, if you're looking at this right now, it's not too big of a difference, or the difference is noticeable, is what I meant to say in terms of like the animation. But if you're in game, the only thing you're really going to see is him winding up. So of course you can train yourself to learn the animations and block accordingly. But, you know, what if you're, one, not willing to, two, can't? Because, of course, it is pretty hard to recognize in-game. Like I said, in-game situation, you know, there is, like, a bunch of things going on, so you might not be able to get this every time. One thing I did mention a lot before is that a lot of his stuff on reaction can just be DP'd. So sometimes a block string you might see him do is a far M into one of these moves. For example, I set him to do the low. So if I see this on startup, I DP. That is, of course, you have a meterless DP. Like I said, a meterless DP is really, really good in this matchup, because a lot of his stuff is pretty slow and reactable. So yeah, you can hit him out of a lot of these things if he tries to go for these high startup moves. Of course, the same goes for the overhead. If you can react to it, then yeah, do this. It's a really good idea. What if, of course, you don't have a meterless reversal? So I did mention this before, but you can certainly hit him out of this, because the startup is pretty big if you can react to this, of course. There is obviously risk in hitting him out of it, but if you are awake, you can punish him for doing this as long as you have your finger on the trigger and you're ready to go. Of course, I did mention risks. So, like, what are the risks in this situation? For example, what if he doesn't do the 2-2M and he does instead a 2-2L or a 2-2H, which is significantly faster? So if I were to mash, I get counter hit. And if that was the H version, he gets a full combo. So that's not good. Moving into the old skill mind games, if you do remember, he does have a low that beats spot dodge, or his swipe beats spot dodge in this situation. If you were to spot dodge on an ultimate skill flash. Regardless, it isn't something I believe you should be too worried about, especially given how his ult skills kind of work. So you probably will only see ult skills in certain different distances. For example, you'll probably only see this within like half, like this distance right here, or like that doesn't even reach that far. So somewhere like that distance. Same with this move. It doesn't even reach that far. Probably won't be seeing 236U just like randomly, just due to how punishable it is. And this move, his 214U, you probably won't be seeing it up close. This might be something you'll see like more from full screen. So with that in mind, it is probably best to note that if he is within like probably like half screen distance, then you probably shouldn't spot dodge, because if you see blue, then this move, it's probably this move. Not saying that they won't do this move from this distance, but it is less likely, to say the very least. So when dealing with his blue skills, I'd say the most important thing to do is recognize the distance, and yeah, you should be alright. So if you're like right here, of course, not spot dodging would be a good idea, because you can punish both of these moves on block. If you are full screen and you see this move, do what you would do to deal with this move. You know, if you can react and you want to grab, then grab them. If you have a mirrorless DP, then do that. If you want to spot dodge, that's also a decent option, because you still retain plus frames on this. Obviously, it's a lot harder to punish, but that is an option. Worst case scenario, however, if you do have a meterless reversal, or any reversal for that matter, I keep saying meterless reversal, but if you do have 50 meter to spend a reversal and you don't have a meterless, then a reversal is always a good option. If you see blue, his hurt box extends out pretty far on all of these, so DP is a pretty solid option. So you see blue, DP, it's very cool. So yeah, DP is a really strong option in this matchup. So if you do have one, then get used to using it. One other thing, the last thing I'm gonna cover in this video, is his camera mix. So if you don't know, overhead and low are pretty real. It leads into a full combo. It's really good for his game. But one thing that not a lot of characters have is something called, or that we like to call, camera mix. So essentially, you cannot see what he's doing because the camera is focused on you getting hit and not him doing his move. So yeah, he can put a move in startup, kind of just threaten his high or low, and then get a full combo off of it if you're not ready. So I don't know the actual combo, I just kind of improvise, but it will look something like this. And then off of that, he can get a full combo. That was the low option, but he can also do the high, just to show off, for example. And yeah, he gets a full combo. It's a pretty good situation for him to be in. So yeah, what do you do about this? This is a very messed up situation to be in, obviously. There really isn't a like concrete answer to this situation, as from what I know of, at least. This character hasn't been out for too long, so maybe somebody will find something along the way. That just is what happens when I decide to make a video on the second week. But as of right now, the only thing I can really say is if you have a meterless reversal, go back to meterless reversals again, or any type of reversal. If you're in this position already, you probably have been hit enough to have 50 meter to do a reversal of some kind. So with that being said, if he gets this and you see the startup of any kind, and DPing out is your best friend, of course. So obviously he can just not do anything, which is very scary. Of course, you know, a lot of them will probably do mix as a layer 1, but people who are more expecting of like other people who know the situation and do a reversal out of it may just block. And that's something, you know, that's something you might have to take into account. It is part of the RPS, but reversal is, of course, your best friend in this option. I'm just kind of more putting this situation in the video just to know. Like I said, there isn't any concrete counterplay to it. It is just something that knowing the situation is a lot better than not knowing and getting clipped by it, and then you know, it goes bad. One thing I did see on my timeline though, one indicator you might be able to look at is the cooldowns. So if you see next to Wilnas, if he does use a cooldown, you see how it goes black for a second as an indicator that he's using this skill. One thing you can do, again, I saw this like briefly, I don't know how accurate this is and if this works. Obviously there's probably measures around this, because that's how the game works. People will figure out some stuff, but if you do keep this into account, if you're just always watching this cooldown, you see that turn black, then that's a sign to hold low. If you don't see it, then he's going high. So yeah, that's something to keep in mind. Like I said, I don't know how accurate this is, but that is something that is good to note just in general, because a lot of people play like cooldown watch and do some type of response in reaction to the cooldowns you know, changing. So yeah, something to keep in mind. Anyways, that about does it for the Wilnas counterplay guide. Of course, like I said, this character is very new, so there may be some new tech coming up soon, because there is a lot of people on this character, a lot of labbers. So who knows what's going to happen to this character within now and the next patch. Regardless, I believe I did cover a decent amount in terms of like his mix-up options, what to do for each of his moves and whatnot. So yeah, hopefully this was helpful to people that may have been struggling with this character, or people just, you know, want to know what this character does, because yeah, knowing is a lot better than not knowing. So yeah, once again, I hope these videos are helpful to people. I've definitely have been having a lot of fun making them and kind of being able to share my knowledge with people about certain characters. So yeah, if you do enjoy this series, make sure to leave a like, subscribe if you're you know, looking forward to some more. And yeah, I don't really have anything else to say. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you guys all in the next one. Peace.